right, strap yourselves in because we are going deep today into the Eritrean People's Liberation Front.
The EPLF.
The movement that brought Eritrea to independence.
Yeah.
We've got some really cool sources for this one.
Oh, yeah.
We've got academic papers, we've got historical accounts, and we even have a list of Eritrean prisons.
Wow.
Compiled by human rights activists.
That's going to be interesting.
So by the end of this deep dive, you're going to know all about the EPLF.
Absolutely.
And why Eritrea looks the way it does politically.
Big question.
And I think one of the most interesting things that we're going to cover is this secret political party.
Oh, yeah.
That operated inside the EPLF for like 2 decades.
Almost.
A secret party pulling the string.
It's crazy, right?
Can you believe that?
It's wild.
I mean, that's
nuts.
So this party, it was called the Eritrean People's Revolutionary Party.
The EPRP.
Or EPRP for short. And they were like a clandestine Marxist group. And they had a huge impact on huge impact. Okay, so to give folks some background.
Yeah.
The EPLF came out of the Eritrean Liberation Front.
EPLF?
Back in the 70s.
You're right, 1970s.
It was a time of just huge disagreement in the Eritrean independence movement.
Yeah.
And the ELF initially was mostly Muslim.
Yeah.
But then after the Ethiopian Red Terror,
oh, yeah.
you know, this was just like
brutal time.
Brutal state-sponsored violence.
Crazy.
All these Christians joined the ELF.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine just like the tension.
Oh, yeah.
Right? On top of already existing disagreement.
Absolutely.
About how to achieve liberation. Like, what's the best way to do this?
Right.
And, you know, you've got all this going on.
Yeah.
Religion. Ethnic identity.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Yeah.
It was wild.
It was crazy.
And that's when guys like Isaiah Afwerki.
Yeah.
And Ramadan Mohammed Durm, they came on the scene.
They did.
And they formed the EPLF.
Yeah.
As a breakaway group.
Totally.
It wasn't a clean break, though.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, there was
violence.
There was violence.
Armed clashes.
Like armed clashes.
Yeah.
Even like killings of Christian fighters by Muslim commanders in the ELF.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, like, the mistrust.
Huge.
It just got worse.
Absolutely.
And it fueled the split.
Totally.
So, like, where does the EPRP fit into all of this?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, they predate the EPLF.
They do.
They actually formed in 71.
Yeah.
In the middle of all this chaos in the ELF.
In the middle of all that.
They were a group that they wanted more than just military victory. They wanted to, like, transform society.
Totally.
But they had a specific ideology in mind.
Yeah.
So it's like, even within the independence movement, there was this even smaller, more radical faction.
Yeah.
They were like operating on multiple levels of secrecy.
Super secret.
I mean, what did they believe in? Like,
so they were Marxists.
Okay.
And they wanted to overcome all these divisions.
Oh, so they wanted to bring everyone together?
Bring everyone together.
All the ethnic and religious divisions and unify Eritrea.
Totally.
Under socialism.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
ambitious.
That's ambitious.
Very ambitious.
To say the least. So, like,
yeah.
How do you even run a revolution in secret? Like,
well, they had to, like, influence the EPLF without revealing themselves.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Super delicate balance.
It's like a tightrope walk.
It really is.
So how did they do it?
So they focused on core issues.
Okay.
They advocated for national unity. And they really pushed for social reforms.
Like what?
Like women's equality.
Oh, wow.
Remember, this is the 70s. These ideas were really radical. Yeah, especially back then.
Totally. So they're operating in secret.
Yeah.
And pushing for these progressive ideas.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It is.
But things change.
They do.
Right, groups evolve. Did the EPRP always stay true to that initial vision?
No.
They did not.
Not at all.
Okay, so they changed.
They did.
So
How?
Well, over time. And especially in the 80s, they moved away from the hardcore socialist ideology to a more like pragmatic approach.
What happened?
Oh, a lot happened.
Give me the details.
Okay, so first you've got the drought.
Okay.
And famine.
In the 80s.
83 to 85.
Devastating.
Devastating.
Right. Yeah. And Eritrea was hit
hard.
And so, you know.
And one of the EPRP cadres put it really well.
What did they say?
He said, the people can't eat ideology.
Right.
Survival became the priority.
Yeah, you can't eat ideology when you're starving.
Exactly.
So pragmatism became the new ideology.
Yeah, you could say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then.
Also, don't forget, the EPLF actually defeated the ELF
Oh, yeah.
in a civil war.
I forgot about that.
Crazy, right?
That's crazy.
So after that,
Yeah.
the dynamics changed completely.
Oh, yeah.
They needed to show everyone that they were unified,
Yeah.
that they were a force for all Eritreans.
So big tent.
Yeah.
And don't forget.
Like global context.
Oh, yeah, the world was changing, too.
It's changing big time.
Like, what was going on?
The Soviet Union was collapsing.
Oh, yeah.
The bastion of communism.
Right.
So socialist movements around the world were kind of losing steam.
Yeah, they were struggling.
Big time.
So
Yes.
this all pushed the EPRP
Towards a more moderate stance.
I see.
Yeah.
So they went from clandestine revolutionaries to pragmatic political players.
That's right.
How did that, like, actually change their vision for Eritrea?
Well, the 1987 EPLF Congress really shows that change. They adopted a new party program, and it was so different from their earlier stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like, they used to talk about imperialists and Zionists.
Right.
That language was gone.
Right.
It was replaced with more inclusive language.
Oh, so what do they say?
They talked about foreigners hostile to Eritrean independence.
Okay.
The focus shifted from class struggle to national unity.
I see.
Yeah.
So they moved away from, like, the Marxist revolution language to appeal to a broader base?
Exactly.
Did this affect their economic vision?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so you know how central the state is to socialist ideology?
Right.
They downplayed that.
Why?
Big time. They shifted from state-controlled farms and trade to private enterprise and a regulated market.
So basically a mixed economy.
Basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the EPRP is acknowledging the power of markets.
They are.
That's a far cry from their Marxist roots.
It is.
What about their view of a one-party state?
Oh, this is crucial.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so in '87, their program explicitly guaranteed the rights of all nationalist political parties.
Wow.
It was a total departure from the Marxist-Leninist idea of a single vanguard party.
So by the late 80s, the secret party and the movement they were guiding were on the same page, ideologically, programmatically.
Totally.
So if they're aligned, why stay secret?
That's the question.
And that question
led to their dissolution in '89.
The secret party that was so influential.
I know.
For almost 2 decades, they just vanish.
They just disappear.
How does that even happen?
It's a mystery.
There wasn't like a big announcement, no explanation. It's the thing. It's like they erased their own history.
It really is.
Even though they were so important to the EPLF success.
Super important.
Strange.
It is. And this ambiguity. About their disappearance.
Right.
It's important.
Because it helps us understand Eritrea's post-independence political landscape.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
The EPLF became the PFDJ.
Right.
The People's Front for Democracy and Justice. And that's where things get really complicated.
They do.
I mean, the EPRP said they were committed to multi-party politics.
Right.
But Eritrea became a one-party state under the PFDJ.
It did.
So was that like...
Is it a betrayal of the EPRP's vision?
Yeah.
Or was it a continuation of their more pragmatic approach?
Right.
Less idealistic?
Yeah.
So that's a big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a question that will stick with us as we unpack the next chapter.
Absolutely.
But before we do that,
yeah,
we should probably talk about what happened to all the people who were part of this secret party.
Right.
Where did they go?
Where did they end up?
What did they do in the new Eritrea? That's a cliffhanger.
It is.
We'll dig into that after a quick break.
Can't wait.
Stay with us for more of the deep dive.
More to come.
We're back. And I am still thinking about this secret party thing.
I know, right?
It's wild.
It is pretty crazy. So
what happened to all those EPRP members? After independence?
Yeah. Where did they all go?
Did they just like
disappear?
Fade into the background?
Yeah.
Or did they get powerful positions in the new government? We'll spill it.
It's hard to say for sure.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, remember how secret they were?
Uh-huh.
No list of members or anything.
So we have no idea who they were.
Not really.
How do we even...
It's like trying to find smoke after a fire's gone out.
It's like a historical black hole.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, but there have to be some clues.
There are some clues.
Like what?
Little hints.
Yeah.
And historical accounts.
Okay.
Personal stories. Stuff like that.
And what are those hints telling us?
Well, some people say that a lot of former EPRP members got really important jobs in the PFDJ government.
Wow. So they went from
secret revolutionaries
to the people in charge
to running the whole show.
That's a huge shift.
It really is.
It makes you wonder about
what they really believe.
Yeah. Did they just give up on their socialist ideas or do they adapt them to the realities of governing a brand new country?
So was the PFDJ becoming authoritarian? Is betraying the EPRP's vision?
Yeah.
Or was it just them being pragmatic?
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
It's like the EPRP's legacy is this invisible hand shaping Eritrea's destiny.
I like that.
Even though they don't even exist anymore.
It's true.
And you really feel that invisible hand.
When you look at
the opposition groups that emerge.
Both inside Eritrea and in the diaspora.
Right, because after independence, it wasn't all peace and harmony.
Not at all.
The PFDJ.
They tightened their grip.
They did.
They cracked down on anyone who disagreed with them.
And this is where it gets interesting.
It does.
A lot of the people who clashed with the PFDJ, who got pushed aside or forced into exile, they were the ones who had been part of the EPRP. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The same people who were in this secret party, who helped shape the EPLF, they were now being targeted by the government they helped create.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It's tragic.
It is.
It's like this classic tale
of revolutionaries turning on their own.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
So now you have this fragmented opposition trying to fight against this authoritarian regime. And then you've got the diaspora.
Scattered all over the world.
Trying to figure out how to help and advocate for change.
It's a lot.
It is.
So remember all those groups we talked about earlier?
Like the EDP and the EPDP? Those are some of the main opposition groups, right? And they're mostly operating from exile.
Which makes it even harder.
It does.
It does.
But instead of getting lost in all the acronyms, I think it's helpful to zoom out.
Oh, okay.
And look at the big picture.
Good idea.
What are the big trends?
Well, the main takeaway is the opposition in Eritrea is super divided.
Really?
Yeah. There are ideological differences.
Okay.
Personal rivalries. A lack of trust.
And I'm guessing that goes back to
the ELF and EPLF tensions.
So those historical divisions are still causing problems today.
They are.
Wow.
It's like they haven't fully healed from the past.
And that makes it so much harder
for the opposition to present a united front
against the PFDJ.
Exactly.
It's like they're trying to fight.
With one hand tied behind their back.
Exactly.
And the PFDJ knows how to exploit those divisions.
Oh, so they play the different groups against each other?
All the time.
Classic.
And they paint themselves
as the only ones who can bring stability.
The only option.
Divide and conquer.
The classic authoritarian playbook.
And on top of that, they use repressive tactics.
Right.
Remember that list of Eritrean prisons?
From the EHRA.
It's a scary reminder.
It is.
Of how brutal the regime can be.
Anyone they see as a threat, whether they're political or not, can be locked up indefinitely.
Without a trial?
No trial.
That's chilling.
It is. It affects everyone. Individuals.
Families.
Communities.
A tragedy. And it often gets overlooked.
Yeah, people forget about the human cost.
Exactly.
So we have a fragmented opposition struggling against a repressive regime.
And then
we have the diaspora.
All over the globe.
Trying to support their homeland. And advocate for change.
What a complex situation.
It is.
The diaspora is a fascinating force.
In what way?
They have so many different views. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, they reflect the diversity of Eritrea itself.
I see.
Some are super critical of the PFDJ, while others are still loyal to the government.
So it's like a microcosm.
Exactly.
Of the divisions within Eritrea.
Yeah.
But what are they actually doing?
Well, they do all sorts of things.
Like what?
Fundraising for humanitarian aid.
Okay.
Organizing protests. Lobbying foreign governments.
Yeah.
They're really active on social media, too.
Yeah.
Sharing information, mobilizing support.
So they're trying to use their position outside of Eritrea to pressure the PFDJ.
Yeah, and raise awareness internationally.
Are they having any impact, though?
It's hard to measure directly, but they're definitely keeping Eritrea on the world's radar.
Okay.
They're the ones shedding light on human rights abuses.
And pushing for reforms.
Exactly.
But they face similar challenges to the opposition inside Eritrea, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Still fragmented.
It's tough to speak with one voice. When you're all over the world,
It is.
So much potential.
So...
But they haven't figured out how to channel it.
That's a good way to put it.
And that brings us back to that big question.
About the future of Eritrea.
Yeah, can the opposition...
both inside and outside the country... overcome their divisions.
And actually challenge the PFDJ?
That's the question.
I've been thinking about it this whole time.
I know, me too.
But before you answer,
I
think we need to talk about the individual stories.
Oh, yeah.
The stories of courage and resilience.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get lost in the politics.
And forget about the human side of things.
Like, remember the story of Eritrea Alazar?
Oh, yeah, the Eritrean-American woman.
She's amazing.
She is.
Raising money for Eritrean refugee children.
Investing in the future.
Providing educational opportunities.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
It's so inspiring.
It's a reminder that
even amidst all the turmoil,
yeah,
there are people doing amazing things.
Making a real difference.
They deserve to be celebrated.
They do.
Their stories give us hope.
So with all that in mind,
yeah,
let's go back to the big question.
The future of Eritrea.
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's what we'll explore.
In our final segment.
We'll look at the factors that could lead to change.
Okay.
The obstacles that stand in the way. And what role the international community can play.
Sounds like we have a lot to cover.
We do.
Don't go anywhere.
Stick with us.
We'll be right back.
To wrap up this deep dive
into Eritrea.
The heart of Eritrea.
Okay, so we're back.
Ah.
And the big question is...
the future of Eritrea.
Yeah. What does it hold?
It's a fascinating question.
It is.
And kind of daunting, too. I mean, we've covered a lot. The EPLF's history, the rise of the PFDJ, the opposition's challenges.
Diaspora.
But predicting the future of any country.
Especially one like Eritrea.
Is tough.
Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball.
We don't.
But maybe we can at least talk about
the possibilities.
The potential paths forward.
The things that could tip the scales.
I think a good place to start is with the obvious.
Okay.
The PFDJ, under Isaiah Afwerki, they have a strong hold on power.
They do.
They control the military, the economy, information.
They've been in charge for a long time.
Decades.
And they've been very effective.
At suppressing any dissent.
It's easy to look at that.
And feel pessimistic.
Yeah, like nothing's ever going to change.
But history shows us that even the strongest regimes can fall.
And sometimes it happens suddenly.
Out of nowhere.
So where are those cracks?
Right. Where are the weak spots?
Yeah, what could make the PFDJ vulnerable?
Usually it's a combination of things.
Okay.
Pressure from inside and outside.
Okay, so let's start with the internal factors.
Okay.
We know there's growing discontent in Eritrea.
Yeah.
Economic hardship. Political repression, national service.
Right, it's indefinite.
It's like they've conscripted a whole generation.
It's true.
But is that enough?
Is it enough to trigger change?
Yeah, I mean, the PFDJ...
With a tight grip.
They do.
Their security apparatus is very effective.
It's true.
They've been really good at stopping any organized opposition.
But you can't silence everyone forever.
You can't.
People will find ways to resist.
They always do.
To speak out.
Even in the toughest environments.
And the PFDJ,
they're
facing a new challenge now.
What's that?
The internet.
Oh, yeah.
Information is flowing more freely.
It's harder to control the narrative these days.
It is.
People have access to...
social media.
Satellite TV.
News from outside Eritrea.
It's a whole new world.
So the information blockade...
is crumbling, and diaspora.
They play a big role in that.
Oh, yeah.
They share information. They connect with people inside Eritrea.
Right.
They amplify voices on the international stage.
It's like a bridge.
A virtual bridge.
Bypassing the PFDJ's control. Yes, very.
So they're chipping away at the wall of censorship.
Little by little.
And all that information.
Plus the economic problems.
All right.
The social frustration.
It's building up.
Like a pressure cooker.
It could explode.
It could.
But that doesn't guarantee positive change.
No, it doesn't.
Things could get worse.
Chaos.
Violence.
It's a risk.
You need enough pressure for change.
Yeah.
But not so much that everything falls apart.
That's a delicate balance.
So internal pressure
is key.
But what about the outside world?
Right. What about external factors?
Can the international community actually do anything?
They can.
To help.
Especially regional powers
like
Ethiopia and global players like the EU, US.
But sanctions and stuff.
Yeah. They haven't really worked.
The PFDJ doesn't seem to care what the world thinks.
They don't.
So what else can they do?
Well, they can do more than just criticize.
Like what?
They can support civil society groups.
Okay.
Encourage dialogue
Between
the government and the opposition.
Isaac.
They can offer incentives for reform.
So like a carrot and stick approach?
Yeah.
But that takes coordination.
It does.
And political will.
And honestly, that's often missing.
Especially when it comes to a small country like Eritrea.
It's true.
Realpolitik wins out.
Yeah.
But we can't give up hope.
We can't.
Remember what happened in Ethiopia?
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago.
Nobody expected those reforms.
Right. Nobody thought Abiy Ahmed would do that.
It was a surprise.
And that kind of change.
It often happens when things align, internal and external pressure.
It creates an opportunity.
And people who want change
have to be ready to seize it.
Absolutely.
So we need to be watching for those moments.
For those cracks.
And be ready to support
the people in Eritrea.
We're fighting for a better future.
It's not just about waiting for the PFDJ to collapse.
It's about actively helping those
who are working for
a more democratic, equitable Eritrea.
We need to amplify their voices.
Give them resources.
Help them connect with each other.
And with the world.
And we can all play a part.
Yeah.
Like supporting Eritrea Al-Azhar's organization.
That amazing woman.
Who's helping to educate Eritrean refugee children.
We can raise awareness.
Challenge misinformation.
Have these kinds of discussions.
It's important to remember.
Yet.
The future of Eritrea
is not set in stone.
It's being shaped right now.
By people.
Inside and outside the country.
That's powerful.
It is.
It means we're not powerless.
We're not.
We can make a difference.
Even small actions matter.
So even when things seem impossible.
Yeah.
There's still hope.
There is.
And we can take action.
We can.
That's a great message to end on.
Thanks for joining us.
On this deep dive.
Into Eritrea.
We hope you learned something.
We hope you'll stay engaged.
And think about
how you can help build a better future.
For the Eritrean people.
Until next time.
Keep learning.
Keep questioning.
And keep believing.
And the power of people.
To make the world a better place.